Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have you. For those of you that have been watching us faithfully, we absolutely appreciate, especially your input. We're finding out week after week that there's more of you watching than we actually expected. So we're very thankful for that. And for those of you that are new to what we do, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Nadeem, how's it going, sir? We had a very interesting morning with the CEO summit. It was very good, really good.
Yeah, yeah, it's been great, and I'm ready to go home, put my feet up, and take a nap. I'm just glad it's Friday.
Man, man, yeah, yeah. So it's funny in terms of the CEO meeting that we did today. We were talking primarily about security, which has become top of mind for so many businesses, especially since this week the government put a very specific interest on protecting your asset as a business as far as your cybersecurity is concerned. Now, with of course everything that's been going on, and we've been telling people, um, get ready and be careful. Now the government is saying, get ready and be careful.
Well, let me put it this way. So we work with a few manufacturing companies. 90% of the companies, and I'm just using some fuzzy math here, about 90% of the companies, the decision makers have reached out to me today asking what else do they need to put in place to protect their stuff.
There it is.
Right? Just today, I'm not talking about this week, yesterday. No, just today, 90% of manufacturing companies that we work with have reached out saying and asking, hey, what else can we do to protect ourselves? We have gotten direction that we need to be more vigilant. And that's never happened before. This is the first time today. This was the first time that such a large number or percent of companies in a certain vertical have reached out asking about this. Now, these are manufacturing companies, so I don't know if it has anything to do with what's going on in the news, or maybe some entity has reached out to these companies saying, hey, you guys need to be vigilant because what they do directly impacts the economy, the country, whatever have you, right? So it's never happened before. I mean, when I saw these messages coming in, I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Right.
So yes, security, and it just happened that the CEO webinar we did this morning, it just kind of went into that direction, was security. But this has nothing to do with that. These people that are reaching out were not in that webinar this morning. They were not on that summit this morning. So these are companies reaching out who are in the manufacturing vertical, wanting to know how can they better secure their network? What else do they need to do to better secure their network? Now, of course, the problem here is security is not something that you can just, it's not a switch you can just turn on. It's a process, right? So if a company has not put this process in place over the last few months, it's not something that we can turn on. We can turn it on now, but it's not going to be in full effect until a few months down the line. That's just how processes work. Yeah. So, reaching out today to your IT provider and saying, I want to be 100% protected right now, no such thing. And if somebody says you're 100% protected right now because I flipped this switch, you're with the wrong company.
Nadeem, it's funny you should mention that on my call today. I've been focused on the CEO, CEO summit. And so the calls that I was making today was along the lines of just, hey, we want to see how you're doing as far as the security. And one guy said, oh, yeah, we got a firewall in place and we're good. I'm like, and I paused. I literally paused like, no, this guy didn't just say that all he has is a firewall. And and so it's amazing because there are people, unfortunately, that still think that the mere basics is enough, and it's not. And I was I was not appalled, but I said, well, no, that's not enough. I told him, I said, that's not enough. Now, of course, he's stubborn. He felt like, no, we're got it, we're good. What we have is enough. It's not. I don't know why people still think that. It's
You know,
amazing.
that thought process is from 1990s when people used to think I can put an antivirus in place, I can put a firewall in place, I'm good. I mean, it hadn't worked since the. I mean, it didn't work back in the 90s. What we don't know, we don't know. That's the problem.
Oh.
And people who are saying, "Oh, we got a firewall, we're good," they just don't know any better.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. I think it's their IT admin slash provider slash MSP, whatever that entity is. It's their fault not educating the decision maker on what's going on and how security works.
Yeah.
Because it's not the CEO's job to know, how to protect their network. They only work with information they have. So there's a lack of information there. There's a lack of education there. And somebody is not providing the right information to the decision maker. And that's why the decision maker is making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the other interesting things along the lines of that, one of the other interesting things came up in my conversation in another meeting earlier today was monitoring, right? So it's like, do you track all your users, what they're doing on your network? And this was a VCIO meeting, so the conversation was more like, do you track unique touch points that a CIO makes with a customer? Right. And so there are two schools of thought around this. One is, of course, I want to track everything. I want to know exactly what this guy's doing, how many restroom breaks this guy's taking in a day, how many coffee cups he's drinking. The other side of the equation is, at the end of the day, if they are meeting their targets, their metrics, do I care? Right. So if you take the example of a CIO where they need to be able to hit a certain number, a certain amount of revenue, right? A certain amount of customers with the total revenue, and these numbers are these are industry standards. We've kind of hashed them out. So let's say and I'm not going to give you actual numbers, but let's say the number is $150,000 a month. If a CIO is hitting $150,000 a month, does it really matter if he comes to work or if he calls customers so many times a day? It doesn't matter, right? I mean, they're producing they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. At the end of the day, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they're, calling or texting or emailing. That's almost like micromanaging, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be wrong, but that's just my, at the end of the day, I don't care if the results are there. I don't care what the person is. I mean, the person could be, sleeping all day long. I don't care as long as the results are there, right? So if a person can do it in their sleep, great. But the thing is, look at your overall metrics. Don't try to micromanage that. That's my thinking. And it's an interesting question. So I'm wondering if other people out there have feedback around that. How do they manage it? Because I've had business owners who have asked us, "Hey, I want to monitor everything that happens on my network. I want to record what they're doing. I want to keep track of if they use their personal bank accounts. I want to know what username, password they're typed in." That's almost, I think, overreaching. But there are two schools of thought. Which school of thought do you fall in, and why? That it would be interesting to know. And in the VCIO call that we had earlier, most of the MSPs out there, they were like, if the results are there, we don't care. But then about, I would say, 30% of people there were like, we want to know the unique touch points a person is making. And I'm like, why? If they are producing the results, What does it matter how many touch points they're making?
Yeah.
So it was an interesting question, and it's come up, a few times before, specifically like working with some larger organizations. The question comes up, and it's like, sometimes a manager might say, well, I want to track this. I want to know, how many times a certain person logged in. If you are tracking productivity by how many times a person logged in, that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem in itself. Because I can create an automated process to log in a million times a day. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm being very productive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So so measure on the other side, what are they producing? Are they producing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they meeting their thresholds? If they are, do you really care whether they do it by logging in or calling or whatever it is, right?
I don't know. I kind of feel, yeah. How can I say this? I kind of feel like there's an element of, dare I say, power that some people like to have to say, "Oh, I know every move that this person makes, or this person makes, or this person makes," and I've worked for people like that where it was more of, it wasn't even
It is a
chicken.
personality type. It is a
That
certain
that
personality.
that that is that's it right there. That's it.
Yeah.
That it's definitely a personality type that comes with that, and quite honestly, it can be a little bit off-putting too, because it's just like, well, my God, this is I mean, wanting to know if they logged into their bank to check their account. I mean, come on now, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and yeah, but I do see it as a personality type because most of the times these people are, they're typically, type A's. They make the decisions. That, nobody else in their household can make a decision. It's that kind of a personality,
yeah,
and they just want to have that control, 100% of control all the time. And if they can, they'll make you sit in front of your computer all day long, no breaks, no nothing. Yeah, it's a personality type. But I want to put the question out there and let people give their input. What maybe certain experiences in other people's lives lead them to be that way, and
yeah,
what were those experiences? It'd be interesting to find out from people out there. So that was just an interesting conversation we were having. But yeah, as far as security goes, back to that security thing, we've had a lot of customer questions around security today, just today. I'm not talking about. I mean, I think I've had more questions today than in the whole year. So, because typically people don't reach out to us asking, "Hey, are we secure?" I've never had a customer reach out to us and say, "Hey, are we secure?" It's usually us asking the customer, "Hey, you're not secure. You need to do this," and they're like,
yeah,
"Nah, we're okay," right?
yeah,
This is the first time that this has happened, and so I'm wondering. Here we are, Friday. Tomorrow's the weekend. I'm wondering what this weekend is going to be like.
I listen. If it's anything to deem like what I've been really. I'm a history. I love history. I love current events. I love world events. But this whole thing that I remember, I was watching CNN, I think last night, and they had a whole segment on cybersecurity. And I remember I was just looking like, oh wow, this is serious, because I've never seen that. They might do a blurb or two or talk about, yeah, you might, so and so guy, but they did a whole segment on cybersecurity and a cyber war, as far as what Russia has been really, they've been using cyber warfare not only against Ukraine, and for what it's worth, Ukraine has been, from what I'm hearing, very adept, to using cyber warfare against Russia. Go figure. But they're talking about how small businesses specifically, and I wish I can find it. They talked about not just the big. They were talking about small business owners. The president really admonishing small businesses to tighten up. So when you
Yeah.
say the weekend, that's
Yeah,
scary
I
almost.
think. Well, I hope I'm wrong, but I think things are going to happen over this weekend. And
Yeah,
and
I
and,
don't
and
know.
the
You
bad
haven't
guys
been
kind
up
of.
to this point. You haven't been wrong about a lot. So
So the thing is, the bad guys know that the weekend, especially in the northern U.S. and people, the work time frames for people, so they kind of work around that. Most of the breaches have happened around big holidays when people are out there. IT admins are in short supply because they're out on vacation or whatever have you, and it's like that for a reason, because the bad guys can have the biggest impact at that time. So
mm,
and this is what we'll leave this call with. I remember a while back, somebody saying that the war of the future is going to be fought online,
yeah,
right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the future.
yeah, yeah. It is. It
So I
definitely
hope
is.
I hope nothing happens this weekend. Um, but you know, all the engineers and the knock and the sock and the security operations center, everybody's going to be on high alert this weekend at PCSN, because um, Spidey sense is going off.
Mm, that's scary. I mean, I don't know if people have been listening to our videos since last year, but man, Nadeem has said a lot of stuff that has, I mean, like to the T, that has like happened.
I
So
hope I'm wrong this time. I hope I'm wrong,
yeah,
because
I don't.
the small business, small business is small, but there's so many of them. And
Yeah,
that's what the bad guys are after. If they can
yeah,
create a wide net to grab a bunch of small businesses, they can make a huge impact in the overall
yeah.
economy. And that's what they're after. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope everybody out there stays secure and vigilant. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully everybody will be, it'll be a non-issue, non-event weekend. But everybody, till then, be safe. And Mac, you have a great day.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I hope everything goes well.
I hope so too. But we'll be looking as always.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we'll end today's call, and I hope this call doesn't go down in history as. I hope we forget this call. Let's just put it
Yeah,
that way. I
let's
hope
let's
we
put
forget
it
this
that
call.
way.
Have a good one, everyone.
You guys have a good one.